This video is a tutorial about how to create a TypeScript library. TypeScript library is something that we will install in either a JavaScript project or a TypeScript project. And throughout the tutorial, I will either call it a TypeScript library or a TypeScript package or an NPM module interchangeably. I will walk you through step by steps. The first step is we will initiate the repository and implement our library. If you already are familiar with this or already have the code, then you can fast forward the video into step 2. Step 2 is we will set up a build script using RollupJS and Typescript. And step 3, we will unit test our library using Jest. And step 4, we will add the library. We will install the library in an example project, and finally we will publish it into NPM. So let's start. Create a repository. This is the library I want to create in this tutorial is use interval time. It is a React hook that return a new time on every interval. We will go into detail after you see the implementation. And it's a public repository. I will add a readme file, add the git ignore using Node.js, and have an MIT license. And then I will clone it. Source3 will help. Let's close this. So we have our repository here, and there is not any code yet. I will initiate package.json using yarn init. So this is our library name, and we will start at version 1. Let's create some code. I will create a React hook on use interval time. It will take in an interval in milliseconds. By default it is 1000, mean 1 second. And on each interval it will return a new time. So how can we do that? First we need to use state, but this is a hook from React, so I have to install React first. Notice that I have to install React as dev dependency because I don't want the user who installed my library to end up 2 instances of React, 2 versions of React. I also have to, because we use TypeScript, so I also have to install TypeScript. Quite fast. So React and TypeScript already installed as dev dependencies, but there's also one more thing. I want to tell our users that this library depends on React. In that case, I don't want them. In that case, I have to add a peer dependency. In here, I have to add React into the peer dependencies, and let's say that the version doesn't matter. Okay. Let's go back to the code. We will use state now, so you can see our Visual Studio code can recognize React now, and it will import the use state. This use state will initially return a new date instance. That's actually the time that we need. And for each interval, we have to set a new time instant. We have to use effects. For each interval, set interval ms. We have to set a new time instance like this. So don't forget to clear the interval. And in the end of the U effect, okay, and we also need to add some type. This is number, this is date, and this also need a type date. Yep, no problem here. Okay, so now we initially done our implementation. The next step, we will have to try set up the build script using Rollup and Typescript. Let's go to the Rollup homepage. In here, in the homepage, there will be a link into a starter lib. This is the working example that I prepared. Everything is already set up in here. This is the most important file. Unfortunately, this is not set up for TypeScript yet, so we will have to work on that. Let me clone this file into our project. Copy. According to the configuration files, Rollup will have 3 outputs. The first output is to support UMD build. For this tutorial, we don't need this. It's quite legacy now. For most modern build tool, we only need 2 outputs. It is for CommonJS and for ES Module. If you don't know about this, CommonJS, the outputs that support CommonJS will help the users to require our library like this, interval time. For ES Module, it will help the user to import our library like this. So yeah, this is where we define the output, the path to the output. We will define it in the main and the module field in the package.json. So let me remove this unused plugin and go back to the package.json. This is the main field. We need to build out code into this directory. This is index.cgs.js, and for ES Module, we need to build into the same directory with the file index.es.js. There's also another field that's important here. It is type. This is the most important for the TypeScript library. The types will be the path to the type definition. We will go back to this file later when we set up TypeScript. So before we build, let's create a build script. Build script just need to run rollup with config parameter. By passing the parameter, rollup will read this configuration file. have to install rollup as dev dependency. Let's try to run yarn build, try to run the build script to see what happened. Cannot resolve NPM module. Okay, missed this one. The input have to be index.ts, not main.js. Index.ts. Let's run it again. Okay, so because our code is TypeScript, but and rollup doesn't understand it yet, so we have the error like this. So next we have to make rollup understand TypeScript by using a rollup plugin called rollup plugin TypeScript. This is the home page of the plugin, and I will install it. Okay. Wait. Okay. Some typo. And I will add it into our rollup configuration file. Before we run, we also need to create a TypeScript configuration file named tsconfig.json. Every TypeScript project needs this file. The content will be something like this. I have to update the include. This include field is will define the global path to all the TypeScript that we want to compile. So for now, it should be everything inside the src directory like this. And we have to exclude. We exclude this directory. This will be the output. This will be the output. So we exclude it. There's also another thing we need to exclude. It is the test file. Test.ts. Need to exclude this as well. Okay. Let's keep it as that. And in here we need to set up to add this so that the TypeScript plugin can read the new tsconfig.json that we just create. Let's run yarn build to see what happened. Okay, cannot find module TypeScript. Okay, I forgot something. We need to install TypeScript and tslib. This is the peer dependency of the plugin. TypeScript and tslib. Okay, let's run the build script again. So far so good. So the rollup and the TypeScript plugin will output. We can see the three output in here. The first output is the CGS file. In this file, our ES module, the imports and export is transpiled into required, and export will be transpiled into export dot. In this case, the user can require our library. And the next file is the es.js. In here, we can see that the imports and export syntax is preserved so that user can import our code. But there's something missing. There's something in here we have to notice. The syntax about the default value of the function arguments is compiled into the old JavaScript, and also there is no arrow function here. Our code has an arrow function, and it's transpiled into the old JavaScript. We actually don't need that because for most of modern browser and also modern build tool, they can now support AX6 at least. So we will update the TypeScript configuration to target AS6, and then we will run it again. And now we can see that the default value and the arrow function now preserved. In this way our bundle size will be smaller. So far so good. We already finished build our TypeScript into Rollup and TypeScript. The next step, we will create a unit test and set up Jest. Okay, so let's go to the Jest homepage. At the section use TypeScript, they suggest us to use Jest. This is Jest homepage. I will follow the instruction. First, I need to install Jest. We already installed TypeScript before, and we have to install Jest and Typescript. And then have to run this command to generate the configuration. Okay, we have the jest.config.js. In here we have to add the test much. This much is an array. In here we will define that the test we want to run. For now, for this library, I will add the test in the same directory with my code. Same file name, but it will end with test.ts. So I will focus to run this file, and I will add a test much like this. Dear everything amplify.test.ts. Okay, we should be like that. Now we will try to write a test case for our code. First we have to import our use interval time, and I need to write a new test case to interval time. Okay, let's get back to the implementation. So this is a React hook. It's not just simple as a function. It also depends on time. So there's two things in here. We need to somehow mock the React environment, and the next thing is we have to mock time. First, in order to mock the React environment, in order to run the hook separately, we need to use a library called React Hook Testing Library. This is the home page, and let's see, I will install it first. And there also the peer dependency here. Say I need to I already installed React. I also have to install this one. And here is an example. Let's import it. So to run our React hook separately in the test, then call render hook, and then call our use interval time hook. Let's just use the default value. This is 1 second. The render hook will return a result according to the example. Let's return a result, and the result.current is what returned by our hook. Result.current, that is the time that returned by our hook. Let's log it out to see, and let's try to run the test. First, I have to create a test script. The test script will just run Jest, then run the test script. Okay, it should run our test, so look like our test match worked correctly. And it locked the time. It's actually this time. Initially it's a new date instance. This is the new date instance. Okay, so far so good. It's a warning. Consider to let's just add it to get rid of the warning. So we know that our hook can run initially, but we also need to test if another time interval pass. We need a new time instance, right? So in order to mock time, we will use the API provided by Jest. Before we mock time, we need to call jest.use fake timers. And after we finish our test, we need to reset the fake timer to the real one, like this. To read more about this mock time API of Jest, you can go to the Jest homepage, go to timer mock section. In order to fast forward the time to the next interval, I will use advanced timers by time and pass our interval in here. This is 1000 milliseconds, and I expect the next time. Yeah, I will expect the next time when it minus the first time. It have to be 1000 milliseconds, right? You have a problem here. This is we have to define the type, which is a date, and we have now is can call get time, so that we can minus the 2 milliseconds. Let's try to run it first to see what happened. So our test failed, and according to the error, our code has run the set time. It is have to update the React state, and for the code like this to run is have to wrap inside a callback of the act method. The event that trigger the set time is this Jest advanced timer by time. So we have to wrap this one into act method. The act method is provided by React Hook testing library. Okay, let's run it again. So the test success. As fast when a hook just run, it will return a time instant, and then the next time interval it will return a next time instant, which is 1 second later according to our expect. So we just finished our unit test. We know that our hook can run and can run correctly. The next step, before we publish our library into NPM, we have to do one more thing. We have to add the library into an example project. This is to help to test that you already have everything that's export and everything that we build is set up correctly. So if we did not publish our library into NPM yet, so how can we install it into the example project? In order to do that, we will use a command called yanpack. Yanpack will help to pack everything we need of our library into one file, and then after that we can use that file to install into the example project. But before we run this, let's go to package.json and define what we want to pack by define the file fields. And here we define the folder directory, this directory. Okay, have to be double quotes. This directory, we only need to pack this output. That is enough. We don't need to pack our source code or our example projects if we create it later. Only this. And don't forget, before we pack, we need to build it. So I will create a script, a bundle script. In here we will run yarn build, we will run the test, and then we will run yarn pack. That should be, you have to go step by step like this. Okay, now let's run yarn bundle. This will build. Build success, it will test. And then it will pack the output to this directory into this file. We also, it was to mention that this is where we define the path to our output: index.cgs, index.es, index.d.ts. This is the type definition, the output of the TypeScript. Okay, now we will create an example project. So to do that, I will use create React app, create an example project, use the TypeScript template. This will be a TypeScript project. You don't have to create a JavaScript project, because if a TypeScript project can import our library, then a JavaScript project obviously can import our library. Okay, after we generate our example projects, let's install our library that we already pack. Let's update the code to use our library. import from use interval time. And we just need to show the time. Yep, use interval time. This is a date object, so we will convert it to string. Then we start it. So, look like it works. That's it. We done through all type of tests. Our library should be ready to release now. Okay, I will have to commit the code. Before every release, you have to NPM version. You have to increase the version of our library. If you just fix a bug, then we will run version patch. In this case, it will increase the patch version. If we add a new feature, then we can run NPM version minor in order to increase the minor version. And if we introduce a breaking change to our library, then we will run NPM version major, and then it will increase the major version. And after you run NPM version, it also create a new commit that have a version tags. So when we push it into GitHub repository, we have to add tags. Now we already push our code into GitHub. Let's see the commits. It's weird. You should see the commit in here. One. We already have a tag. Okay, let's do this again. Git push on. So this way it's only push the tags. Now if we push on, okay, we can see that all the commits is already pushed. Sorry about that. Yeah, we have to git push on, and then everything is on GitHub already. And now we can publish it by run npm publish. Before we do that, be sure to go to npm and then sign up an account, and you have to run npm login in here to log in with the register account. Currently I already logged in before, so I just run this npm who am I, and it will show that my username in here. I already logged in. Now I just need to run npm publish to publish our library into npm. Now it's done. The library is on npm. It's now officially become an NPM module. Let's try to search for it. Use interval time. It is not indexed yet. A little bit hard to search. Okay, let's search for my username. here is already published. You have to, for the real library, you have to update the readme, and the content will be in here. So that's it. We already walked through all the steps to create a TypeScript library and publish it. Good luck and have fun, and see you in the next tutorial.